We are live on Facebook as well. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to a special episode of The Isolation Central. आज हमारे पास स्पेशल क्यों है, दो वजूहात है. एक, हम लोग इस टाइम इंस्टा पे भी लाइव हैं, तो अगर आप हमें इंस्टा पे फॉलो करते हैं तो आप जाविया के अकाउंट को फॉलो करते हैं या सुखन के अकाउंट को, तो वी आर लाइव देयर एज वेल. कमिंग बैक टू आवर मेन शो एट फेसबुक, जैसा कि आप लोगों को पता है कि आइसोलेशन सेंट्रल is basically focused on जो कोरोना पेंडेमिक चल रहा है उसमें डिफरेंट इश्यूज क्या आ रहे हैं. मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज हैं, फिजिकल हेल्थ के इश्यूज हैं, बोर हो रहे हैं लोग, फ्रस्ट्रेट हो रहे हैं. सो इसकी वजह से what we have done is that we have invited a mental health professional with us. So I would like to welcome Sana to the show. Sana is a mental health professional, Fulbright Scholar हैं, इसके अलावा Zaaviyah mental health services की co-founder भी हैं. सो सना, पहला क्वेश्चन जो मेरा एक्सटेंडेड लोगों से चल रहा है वो ये है कि आजकल क्या हो रहा है और क्या मसरूफियत है. और व्हाइल यू आंसर, आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू फिक्स अ लिटिल थिंग ऑन मोबाइल, बट प्लीज स्टार्ट.
All right. Thank you, Hammad. Thank you for calling me on your show. It's a great honor. Also, I think you're doing a wonderful work, bringing so many professionals on your platform and helping all the individuals out there with these sessions, because I think a lot of people sitting at home are worried, they're stressed, and I think all these shows that you're bringing on your platform are really helping everybody around. I've been personally watching all your shows as well, and I think it's a great, it's just a great opportunity for people to learn from here.
Thank you.
So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. जी, तो आजकल क्या मसरूफियत है आपका? क्वारंटाइन कैसा जा रहा है?
I think जैसा सबका जा रहा है वैसे ही जा रहा है. It's tough. I'm a mother of two as well, so I think working with kids and having two kids at home now, I think I absolutely feel all the parents out there who are going through this challenge with me, and so I think that has helped me a lot to work and research on it myself as well.
Right.
So yeah, so I'll be sharing definitely all my views with you as we move on.
ओके, सो अब एक और क्वेश्चन ये है, जिस तरह आप देख रहे हैं कि दिस इज एन अनप्रेसिडेंटेड टाइम, उसके हम क्यों बात करते हैं? जितना पिछले शोज में हम बात करते आए थे कि एक होता है कि यू सी अ प्रॉब्लम कि मैं खुदा न खास्ता बीमार हो गया हूँ, या देयर हैज बीन कोई मेरा एक चैलेंज आया है, मेरे एग्जाम्स फेल हो गए फॉर इंस्टेंस. आपके पास एक टाइमलाइन होती है कि आफ्टर दैट यू आर गोइंग टू गो बैक टू द प्लान कि मेरे पास अब मेरे एग्जाम दोबारा करना है. बट राइट नाउ हम रोज सुबह उठते हैं और अभी तक अनफॉर्चुनेटली एक नई बुरी खबर हमारे होती है. अमेरिका में आप देख रहे हो कि वो कहाँ से स्टार्ट होके अब 2000 पर डे तक जा चुका है.
Right.
और तो एक अनसर्टेनिटी क्रिएट हो रही है. सो उसके साथ फियर भी है अपने घर वालों का, अपने आप की सेहत का, अपने बड़ों का, अपने बच्चों का, तो वो इकट्ठा हो रहा है. तो उसके साथ आई एम श्योर कि जाविया हेल्थ मेंटल हेल्थ सर्विसेज की जो जरूरत है वो पहले से ज्यादा शायद कभी भी नहीं थी. तो इसमें जनरल आप क्या ट्रेंड देख रहे हो, क्या हो रहा है, कैसे लोगों की क्या प्रॉब्लम्स आ रहे हैं और आप लोग क्या कर रहे हैं इस सिलसिले में?
Right. So, Hammad, you're absolutely right. It's a lot of uncertainty around us right now. Everybody all over the world is going through it. It's just not Pakistan, unfortunately. Everybody is in the same boat. The trend definitely has been there. We've definitely seen an increase in needing services. एक तो हम already जो clients देख रहे हैं, we are definitely noticing that everybody that we had on board with us already is definitely going through a harder time than usual. A lot of people who had depressed symptoms or who had anxiety are generally having more of their symptoms these days. Apart from that, we also tried doing this volunteering effort with Zaaviyah, when we did actually give out these free services for 1 week, 2 hours a day to all our followers, everybody, whoever wanted help and support. And me and my colleague Amna Chaudhary, we both were actually following up with all the people who were reaching out to us. And there has been a tremendous increase because of these hard times for everybody. The pandemic is causing a lot of stress for everybody around us. People were reaching out to us talking about anxiety, OCD symptoms. There's a lot of trauma around it as well, because even though this is not, in a way, it's not as such a trauma, but all the effects that it's causing, in a way, is pretty traumatic for a lot of people around us. I work with children in specific and youngsters preteens, teenagers, and young adults. And it's a pretty hard time for them as well because they're all in a routine. They're going to schools. Like you said, they have their exams scheduled. Everything is in place. And their routines being altered is something that they could not ever imagine. And now that it's happening, they're in a pretty difficult situation themselves, and they're very I mean, probably for all of us, even for myself, this is the first time that we are seeing something like this happen in reality, where life is actually literally just stopped. So that's a lot for everyone, and I think बड़े तो struggle कर रहे हैं, और I think बच्चे भी उतना ही struggle कर रहे हैं सबके अंदर.
अच्छा, अब अगर हम बच्चों की बात करें, स्पेशली टीनेजर्स की हम बात करें, उसमें ये इशू ये आ रहा है कि उनकी एक लाइफस्टाइल था जिसमें वो बाहर जाते थे, वो अपना उनकी एक रूटीन थी, एकेडमिक रूटीन थी, दोस्तों से मिलना था, और एक जनरल ट्रेंड ये भी देखने में आता है हमारा अक्सर कि जो बड़ों से है वो इतना रिलेट नहीं कर पाते, उनका जो पीयर ग्रुप होता है उससे वो ज़्यादा कहते हैं कि मेरे फॉर एग्जाम्पल बड़े बहन भाई या पेरेंट्स को समझ आएगी नहीं, मेरे दोस्तों को समझ आती है, और अब वो उन सबसे कट ऑफ हो गए हैं. एंड देन देयर इज सोशल मीडिया का एलिमेंट जिसकी वजह से वो एक और हो रहा है. तो इस सबको आप किस तरह देख रहे हो? व्हाट्स द one or two advice for the teenage population?
Right, so I think even though we're all at home, I'm just going to put on my earphones because a lot of people are saying there's echo.
जी मैं वही देख रहा हूँ, तो I think headphone कर लेते हैं, बेहतर रहेगा. I hope अब हमारा
बेहतर हो जाए. And people can let me know if this works better then.
जी.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so that's true. I'll just take my laptop's volume down as well. Right, so I work as a school counselor myself, and a lot of my students have reached out to me as well, talking about this. Even though we're all sitting at home, I understand it's very difficult. We're all confined to our own spaces, but we all have gadgets. Technology is amazing. I think more than ever, it has become a necessity in this moment right now. And I think it's absolutely essential for everybody to stay connected with their loved ones through social media, through social networking, because during these hard times, it is very important for us to not go in our shells, because even research suggests that especially teens, they're most vulnerable age group during such times. And research also suggests that during quarantines in the past, the most affected group with going back into their shells and not really coming out of it sooner than others was this age group, in particular young adults and teenagers. So it's very, very important for all the teenagers out there to stay connected with their friends and family as well. I think it's also a wonderful time that kids are sitting at home and they're kind of interacting with their parents, with their grandparents, with their siblings, something that they haven't been doing a lot. I think I've especially noticed that trend a lot in my clients, where there's a lot of relationship concerns and issues within this specific group with their adults and the youngsters and their families. So I think it's a great time, an opportunity window for everybody to come together and work out their relationships with each other.
इसमें एक जो जनरल में ट्रेंड देखने में, क्वेश्चंस देखने में आ रहे थे, वो ये भी थे कि you start off with one activity, because when we started, so it was something like expected कि 2 weeks 3 weeks और immediately हम लोगों ने अपनी पसंद की डिशेस पे काम करना शुरू कर दिया. हमने फटाफट गर्मी और सर्दी के कपड़े उठा के साइड पे किए. So we are pretty much done with all the pending stuff. And now it's so क्योंकि कल हमारी एक फ्रेंड है, कल हमारे प्रोग्राम में भी थी, तो उन्होंने कमेंट किया कि I started writing an online diary of that sort, and it's 19 days now, and I'm just bored and I don't know what to do. So should I continue that thing to keep a routine, या मैं कोई नई चीज ढूंढूं, या how to keep yourself motivated and keep on going with it?
Right. So that's absolutely true. You're right. People have run out of things that they could have been doing, pending stuff. Like you said, some people wanted to read a book since forever and they never had any time to do that. And this quarantine actually gave them the time to do that. People wanted to spend more time with their kids and now they're doing that. And they're like, now we've done that too in a way. And now we are having a burnout. So I'm hearing from a lot of parents these days with not having any routine. Everybody is feeling burnt out. So I think one thing that is really, really helpful is a routine. Even though everybody's at home, following a consistent routine every day, even though you're not going to offices, you're not going to schools, you're not doing anything. I was reading a lot of memes the other day with housewives writing down that the only job that hasn't stopped is all the mothers who are still working in the kitchen, still providing for their families, and that's one job that's not halted, right? But I think that's what keeps probably the mothers in the house going, because they have a routine and they're still sticking to that. Apart from them, everybody else's life is a pretty hodgepodge situation right now. And I think one thing that I absolutely would encourage everybody to do is follow a consistent routine. I have two daughters. Even though they're not going to school, so how I do things around with them is that I put them in the morning, they wake up, they have their breakfast, and the next thing they know is we're doing a pretend school with them. So they come to a pretend school, I act like their teacher, and we're sitting together for 2-3 hours doing their homework together. Then we have like a proper schedule to follow throughout the day. And I think that's really helpful in keeping them on track and also me on track, because then I am like all over the place myself. There's a saying, the more you sleep, the more you want to sleep. So everybody out there is having a pretty messed up sleep cycle as well. People are sleeping at odd times, waking up at odd times. That's also causing a lot of sleeping issues among a lot of clients that I'm seeing right now. Most of my sessions, the ones that were in the mornings, people have shifted them to evenings now because they're just not awake at that time. Yeah. So we're seeing all these patterns, and I think with this person you mentioned before, who was writing a journal, I think if they enjoy doing that and if they think this can be something productive for them, they should absolutely be doing it, continuing with it. I think anxiety in specific in times like these, they put you in difficult times, they put you in a difficult position, but I think it's also a way for telling ourselves that we need to kind of redefine ourselves and how we think of ourselves, and go out there, try different things, explore other avenues we haven't done before. I think it's also a time to define and redefine ourselves.
Okay, there's one more thing. So, we go for, some routine, some activity, and eventually I have personal experience as well, but eventually, you go down into that dark place, जहाँ से निकलना मुश्किल हो जाता है. So, अगर अब आपने, if you started off well, but now you have drifted into a pattern जहाँ पे 2 बजे तक सो रहे हैं, उसके बाद उठे, सोशल मीडिया इस्तेमाल किया, नेटफ्लिक्स देखा, खाया पिया, फिर रात को 4 बजे तक जागते रहे, फिर सो गए. So अब एक पैटर्न बन गया है. Let's say it has been a week, for instance. So how to get out of it? How do you break that pattern and get yourself to the point जहाँ पे you are going to restart your activity या job suggest कर रहे थे अभी?
Right. So that's true, Hammad. It's again, even though we're kind of leaning towards all the positivity we can, but let's not forget that this is a very hard time for everybody. Even if you're all kind of out of our routines, if you're taking some time off, we all need to be a little kind towards ourselves. We can't be too harsh on ourselves either. This isn't something that we chose for ourselves, right? This is something that was kind of, we were thrown into in a couple of days, and now we're all sitting at our homes in our own spaces, and there's not much we can do, right? So I think, we have to be very kind to ourselves. We don't have to really push ourselves out of what we're already in. So if you're not in a good place with your routine, with your general everyday cycle, you don't necessarily have to tell yourself, okay, now is the time that I have to kind of quickly come out of it because, everything is going to stop. Take a while, explore your emotions, sit with your feelings for a little while and see what's happening for you in that moment. If you think you're ready to come out of it, fair enough. The next day could be a new day for you. If you think that you still need some time to process your feelings around whatever's been happening and you're still not ready to come out and be productive, that's okay too, because a lot of people have been super busy with their routines before this pandemic hit us. I think everybody was looking for this actually time and space to just breathe, right? And so I think this is a great breather for all of us, even though it's not the best of times, but in a way it's a good, I think, place to reset and see what we want to continue with and what we want to kind of leave behind.
Another thing that I wanted your comment on was that, unfortunately, there is a trend going on, which I'm seeing on social media specifically, because obviously that's how you see the world. That's, you have to be productive. If you are staying home and not doing anything, if you're not learning how to cook, clean, painter नहीं बन गए एकदम से, आपने सारा Netflix खत्म नहीं कर लिया. So if the sense of achievement है ना, I think it's being forced on. While personally,
Right.
I think that if we get out of it alive, healthy, and keeping our loved ones alive, that's being
Absolutely.
productive enough. So I wanted your comment on that too,
Absolutely.
as because I'm seeing that people are putting everything they can on social media, which is fine if that's
Right.
what is helping them. But that is also putting a
Right.
lot of people in depression because they think that they
Right.
are wasting their life even in quarantine.
Right. Right. So I think you're absolutely right, and that kind of makes me want to comment to the fact that every person has a very different personality style. Every person copes with the disaster, a pandemic, an injury, a disease very differently from another, right? The fact that you said that people are kind of maybe feeling a lot of pressure because of this, seeing their peers and family members and maybe social media mates doing all these things in quarantine and thinking, wow, they've such an amazing place to be in, whereas they're kind of struggling with this. That's absolutely true. For some people, their life is kind of stopped because of this situation. People who had anxiety before, their anxieties are skyrocketing right now. How can you expect a person who was already super anxious now further another 100 times more anxious now? How can you expect them to go bake in the kitchen? That's not possible. So for them, what success in that day could look like, that they kind of jumped out of bed for that very day, and that's okay too. It's okay if they didn't jump into the bandwagon of baking a cake, or they didn't do something like cooking, for instance. That's totally fine. Everybody has to move at their own pace, the pace that they feel comfortable with. Absolutely, you're right. Social media causes a lot of social pressure. I don't think even in quarantine, I think otherwise as well, there is generally a lot of trend for social media to play a role of a huge, I think, pressure cooker for a lot of us. Like people want to kind of quickly do the same thing. But again, it is every person's, I think, individual choice. They're entitled to do what they want to do, depending on whatever they can take on and whatever they think they're capable of. Having said that, it's absolutely essential for those who have anxiety or who have depressive thoughts or who are going through concerning times for themselves. It's important to step into a positive mindset as well. We would of course not want them to stay in their negativity either. We want them to come out of this healthy as well. So I was generally reading a magazine the other day, and it said that anxiety also kind of gives us, it acts as like this mechanism for telling us whether there is danger ahead or not, right? So we need to use our anxieties in the right direction as well. We can use them positively to work on ourselves as well. So people who are already feeling very anxious with the situation, we of course will definitely want to encourage them to get out of their beds as well, do things for themselves as well, have a positive growth mindset as well during these times, because we all know that our mind is a very powerful, I think it's a powerful tool that we have, and the more we kind of make ourselves negative, we're going to make ourselves more prone to negativity too. So we have to absolutely have a very positive mindset, especially during these times, because we want to come out of this stronger.
So taking it forward, so there was a set of people who were doing, let's suppose, who were doing okay, going on there with their lives in a normal routine. But then there were people I was just mentioning who were going through a mental health struggle. So they were facing anxiety, depression, different OCDs, and that was an ongoing
Mm-hmm.
fight जो वो चल रही थी, and they were taking therapy or no therapy, but in either case they were struggling. As you just
Right.
mentioned, it's more difficult for them right now because they had an already
Right.
challenge जो उनका exist करता था. So what
Hmm.
is your one advice to those people? Because someone जिसको एक break लगी है, वो reflect करेगा, sad होगा, maybe he'll have a good day, bad day, then maybe he'll get out of it. वो जो हम अभी discuss कर
Right.
रहे थे. But what about for someone जो कि already चलता आ रहा था एक ट्रॉमा से, ट्रेजेडी से, मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज से, जिस चैलेंज वो ऑलरेडी कर रहा फेस कर रहा था, how to navigate this particular situation?
Right, absolutely. All these people that are already feeling that, who were already anxious before and now they're feeling more anxiety, they definitely have to seek professional help and support, because by just by being by themselves alone, they will of course spiral down into a more negative path in their lives. And I think if they're not in a financial or a stable place in life, to look out for professional support out there, because we all know that there are a lot of people who might not be able to afford therapy or professional support. I think there are helplines out there to help you with just seeking support. I just the other day we heard about Shaukat Khanum Hospital launching this new helpline where their clinical psychologists are not charging a lot, I'm supposing, but they're charging definitely lesser than most therapists to give support to people who are feeling anxious with the COVID or the pandemic situation. So there are definitely support systems out there. I think family, for one, friends, another. Talk, express your feelings. Don't just sit with your anxiety inside of you, because it's gonna boil up, and you will, of course, uh, there will come a time where there will be a tipping over effect where all of it is going to spill out as well. So if you're having these frustrating thoughts, if you're feeling anxious, you're feeling easily upset or sad, you're having any depressive thoughts, any of it, seek some support, whether it's professional, whether it's inside your own spaces. But do seek support and talk about it, because talking and communicating really helps.
Okay. So another thing, जिस तरह आप बात कर रहे हो कि Zaaviyah mental health जो services हैं, what's your I won't say कि without going into detail, but what's happening, क्या general trend देखने में आ रहा है? Is there a spike? If there is a spike, तो generally लोग क्या feel कर रहे हैं, या what has been the general issues?
Right. So there's definitely, we've been hearing from a lot of people. A lot of people are kind of coming in, जिनको पहले issues थे, लेकिन वो और prominent शायद इसलिए भी हो रहे हैं because they're now in spaces confined with their family members. अगर किसी family के साथ कोई rift थी, so they weren't doing well with their father maybe, or their mother, or their sibling. Now they're kind of coming out with it. Oh, I'm having these troubles with my siblings or my parents. I could navigate that easily before. Now I can't, because now you're kind of sharing the same space with them 24/7, whereas before you had like a time out, freedom to get out of the house and do something else instead. So there's a trend of that sort. We're also hearing from a lot of parents that a lot of children and teenagers and young adults are struggling a lot because of their messed up routines. Because school is out, they're at home, and they're bored, they're just frustrated, there's not much to do to keep them busy. So there's a lot of struggle around that. We are also kind of working on this initiative that we'll soon be launching as well. So it wouldn't look like therapy, but it would be consultation services that we're looking forward to providing to parents whose children or kids are in places that they weren't in before, like they're struggling with the parents maybe. The examples that I just quoted a while back. So we'll be doing these parent sessions. They could be 30 minutes to 50 minutes long. That would be the parent's choice, and the parent will bring forward some of the concerns that they have with their children, or the children are facing some concerns at home. And now the parents are probably also more observant because kids are spending more time with them as well. So things that weren't as obvious before are becoming more obvious now. So we will be providing these sessions to parents. They don't have to be ongoing therapy sessions. They would look a little more solution focused. So kind of giving ideas and tips for parents to kind of deal with the situations.
Okay. So before we move forward, जो लोग Facebook पे देख रहे हैं, I hope मेरी आवाज़ बेहतर हो गई है. अगर नहीं हुई तो please do let me know. I have tried to change settings a bit. Okay. Moving on, जिस तरह भी हम बात कर रहे थे, आपने जिक्र किया कि a lot of people are at times stuck with within their houses, जिसको वो toxic environment समझते थे, और going out was their way out of that toxic place. So इस केस के अंदर सोशल बाउंड्रीज का कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. सो अगर आप उनको थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन करें कि व्हाट इज सोशल बाउंड्रीज एंड हाउ यू कैन प्रैक्टिस विदिन योर ओन हाउस, विदिन योर कन्फाइंड स्पेस जहां पे अभी आप हैं.
Right, absolutely. So I think the concept of social boundaries becomes a little non-existent in Desi households
Yeah,
because everybody is in each other's business all the time. So I think the first and foremost step will be to have a sit down with everybody in the house if you think they are potentially capable of having that sit down, uh, and just talking about everybody's day-to-day routine. So just the other day, I saw another meme where this guy was having an office phone call and the mom keeps stepping in and keeps talking about the food he wants for the day. So things like that are actually real. It's out there. Everybody is in that place. People are sharing office spaces in the same place at home. So I think having a sit down with everybody at home and potentially telling them what your daily schedule or routine would look like, so everybody kind of gets a sense of what everybody individually will be up to. I have a few clients who were really struggling with the idea of coming back home from the universities, now spending time with their families, and them being kind of not considerate enough to let them sleep at odd hours, or
yeah,
complaining about their daily day-to-day routines. So a lot of kids and families are going through the same struggles. So talking about what your daily routine would look like if you think you're having if you're being triggered by someone in the family and you think you will have a moment where you might flare up or get angry or frustrated, because to be very honest, we're all very vulnerable to feeling all these emotions right now, especially because we're all feeling a lot these days as well. So having that breakdown or having that emotional outburst is absolutely normal. But if you think you want to avoid having that situation, a boundary, a social boundary is very important to keep. You could tell everybody beforehand that my room is a very safe space where I would want, if I want, I can go out there, and everybody needs to respect the fact that I will be in my room taking some space out for myself only. So I think even with families where a lot of kids are in the same household, respecting everybody else's boundaries. So during the day, giving kids a little time out, keeping them separate from one another for a little while, just to keep everybody's sanity
yeah.
intact, is also very helpful. And I think I practice that a lot with myself too. So little things like that, where respecting each other's boundaries when you create them, and making sure that you consistently follow through with them is very important.
Right. So another aspect I want to talk, since you're working with teenagers and children who are of young age. So another
Right.
challenge might be, I'm talking about a particular case study because that's
Hmm.
a question I got asked that I should convey to you. So it's about the single parents who are living abroad, especially.
Hmm.
एंड आमतौर पे ये
Right.
होता है कि देयर इज अ फैमिली यूनिट, देयर आर पेरेंट्स, दो तीन बच्चे हैं, सब बच्चे आपस में लगे रहते हैं, फिर पेरेंट्स टेक टर्न्स टू टेक केयर ऑफ देम. बट हियर वी हैव अ सिंगल पेरेंट एंड अ सिंगल चाइल्ड. So that becomes
Right.
very जो है वो problematic हो जाता है, because the child wants continuous attention, because the mother or the
Right.
father is the entire focus of his or her universe now,
Right.
and the
Hmm.
parent needs to get on with the life as well. वो घर के काम है, work from home है. So what's your advice
Right.
to that parent in this situation, how to cater? And then you have a question from Instagram, we'll take it right after that.
Right, right. So that's very true. Single parents, I think, salute to them. I don't know how they do it. It's extremely difficult to do it without any support. So first of all, hands down, you guys are amazing. You guys are doing a great job already. I don't have to give suggestions to you, but just a little bit of advice maybe that I think, again, coming down to routine with kids is very helpful, very essential. I think having a conversation with the child is also very important. Talking about what you're feeling, how you're feeling, is also very important. My daughters are 5, but sometimes I have conversations, very grown up conversations with them as well, and my mom is like, what are you doing to stop? And I'm like, I think this is needed in the time of today, because if I don't tell them, who will? So I think it's very important to sit down a child and tell them what the situation looks like. I'm pretty sure a child who's being raised in a single parent household already knows the complications of that household. They mature way before other kids do, and they're very well aware that this is something that's happening. So instead of just having that elephant in the room and not talking about is not helpful. In fact, talking about the situation will be much more comfortable for them as well, and give them a sense of give them a sense of direction as well as to how they need to operate given the situation. So if a mother is alone by herself and she doesn't have much of a support, she needs to maybe have a conversation with the child that it's just the two of us. I also need to work out my timetable. You also have your work to do. So how about we kind of support each other throughout the day, and let's do activities together. Let's plan out a schedule that would work for you as well and that you would enjoy as well. Because, of course, kids are also looking to have fun with their parents, spend time with them. So even though the mother, I'm sure, has a pretty packed up schedule, she can tell the child all about her day and what she has to do. And then the child might have a more sense of direction as to how much work the mother already has to do. So kids
Right.
are very, very accommodating, and I think the child would understand for sure.
Okay, so going back to our earlier discussion, we have a comment on Instagram. So it's basically about that is something जब आप बात कर रहे थे, तो I was also thinking about it. What if you don't have a room? What if you don't have that particular space in your house जहाँ पे you can go and
Right,
create that boundary? So उस situation में क्या
right,
कर सकते हैं? And even just to take it a bit further, आपका कमरा हो भी, if you have a room, people nowadays want to sit together कि सारे लाउंज में बैठे सारे न्यूज ही देखेंगे और so I'm giving you real life examples as well. So
right,
how to,
absolutely.
yeah, so the first question is, what if you don't have your private space in your house,
Right,
and you are being forced to share space or sit with the rest of the family or whatever group you are living with?
right. Now that's a pretty tricky situation, and I think for people who don't have that opportunity to go out in a different space, I think being creative in that sense would look like doing an activity that may not involve others around you. So exactly. So like I said, you'll have to be, I understand this is the most difficult question that I've been asked from most of my students as well. What do we do when we're forced to sit with our family members and we're forced to not kind of just be by ourselves and isolate ourselves? I think yes, sometimes we just need our own personal space. And I think the best way to do that is, even if you get a bathroom break to yourself, use it to your best. Uh, I mean, use it for your best.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
I mean, use it to your own good use, because sometimes even I have a lot of parents in my circle who just say that bathroom breaks are so helpful for us that we kind of unwind in those breaks. So I understand that's not the most appropriate of places to be taking a break in, but maybe just taking, if you have a balcony or a terrace or just a street outside to walk on, just wear a mask, just be safe and take a walk outside, take some fresh air in, do some meditation. Uh, at night, if you think you are done with everybody, even during the day, it's not specifically for nighttime, even during the day, at some point, if you're feeling just too bogged down because of everybody around you, put in your earphones and walk yourself through a meditation session. They're very cheap, free online meditation videos, audios that you can listen to and get that personal independent space for yourself. I understand a lot of people don't like the idea of it, but I tell you, it's amazing to be in that space and create that calm for yourself.
I think another option, but just my personal opinion, you can actually
Right,
get up early in the morning and spend 1 hour when everyone is sleeping. So that
absolutely.
can also become a place, even if you're sitting in your room or walking around,
Right,
but everyone
absolutely.
else is asleep. So why not? That can also
Right,
work.
absolutely, absolutely. That is a great idea. I think having that space just to yourself, knowing that you can navigate the kitchen space yourself, the lounge yourself, you can use the TV to your own choice, is definitely worth the try. Wake up early or sleep 1 hour late and get that space for yourself if you have to.
Okay. So there's one more topic that you were just mentioning that you wanted to address. So I'll leave the floor
Right.
to you.
Right. So, I've had this personal struggle, and I've been doing a lot of research into it, like I said earlier on as well, about dealing with younger kids. I work with 5-year-olds to 25-year-olds. It has a lot of developmental levels in between, but I think in specific, because my daughters are 5, so around that age group, 5 to 7, 8 years, a lot of kids are having a lot of trouble just kind of understanding this idea of this pandemic. It's very
Yeah.
difficult for them. My daughter went through a very tough time around it. She was very concerned from hearing the news channels and all all the information going around them, what's happening. So I think first off, the first thing that you have to do is assess what your child knows about this pandemic situation. So what are some things that your child is very clear about? So when the word corona comes up, just ask them, what do you feel like when someone says the word corona? What do you feel? What do you think it means? So just check the information and the facts and figures they already have, and then comment further and see what the situation would then look like. So let's say if a child says that I think it's a virus and it affects people and people die because of it, because that's something that we were hearing a lot from the news channels, that a lot of people are dying all over the world because of it. So the only thought the child then has is that, oh, people are dying because of this. And that is the child's worst fear, having people die around them. So if that is a fear that your child has, you've got to dig further into it and ask them, okay, so what are some of your fears around death? When people die, how do you feel? What does it make you feel? So if the child, let's say, says then, I feel very emotional, I feel very sad, or I feel very upset, it breaks my heart to see other people dying. So then you say that's true, and then you rationalize with them, and then you tell them that this is very true. You can't say something like, oh, I know that's very sad, and walk away from them. You have, if your child is coming to the point where they're telling you that somebody dying is very important to them, or it's affecting them, you have to talk about it. So you tell them, okay, so I understand death is very difficult, and it's true, because we can't say that this is something invalid. People die all the time, right? So we have to tell them, yes, this is a very true reality. You're right, people die. But at the same time, there are a lot of people who are not dying because of the coronavirus. There are a lot of people out there who are also surviving. They're also getting back into their regular routines. They're getting healthy, because there are a lot of doctors out there working to make vaccinations or help people who have this viral. So in a way, you're also addressing the child's anxiety, not telling them that their concerns are invalid. You're validating them, but at the same time, you're also telling them that this is how there are people out there who are helping for the cause as well. Never dismiss your child's fears, because अगर मैं कह दूं कि अच्छा उसका डर है और मैं कहूं कि okay fine, I'll sleep over it, she'll be fine tomorrow, that's not true. The fear inside the child will get bigger. Kids start having nightmares even sometimes because of the fears they carry inside themselves. So it's very important that you address their fears, talk about them, and then do this at an age appropriate level. So a lot of things, right? I can't tell them a lot of things going around. I have to keep it very age appropriate, something that she would understand, or he would understand. I can't make it very adult conversation either. So that's one thing. Emphasizing a good hygiene for them, telling them, so here is the thing, we know that the coronavirus affects people because they don't wash their hands maybe. So washing hands is very important. You have to wash your hands maybe 5 or 6 times a day, and then you have to keep washing your hands for 20 seconds at least, and maybe sing the happy birthday song or baby shark or something like it to make it interesting for them. Use the hand sanitizer whenever you go in or out of the house, to play outside and come back inside the house. Each time you go to the bathroom to take a bathroom break, you come back and you wash your hands. So encourage a good healthy hygiene. Other than that, a lot of kids, like I said, have been very concerned about school closing down. All of a sudden they didn't have their exams, they didn't have their assessments, and now they're like kind of in between. So initially when I said sharing their homeworks, so parents, please do their homeworks with them. They really need to stay in touch with their education. They really need to stay in touch with their academics, not because they have to be these scientists, just because they need a routine in their life. So just do it with them, even if it's 1 hour a day, just keep that routine going for them. And since school is closed down, maybe a 5-year-old would understand. You could tell them that they're washing the school to make it bug free, to make it virus free. They're kind of cleaning up the space for you guys to go back into a healthy environment back again, because a lot of kids would think, oh, school closed down, what happened, why did it happen? And so school could become a fear for them as well. So we don't have to create any fears for them around this pandemic. You just have to say we're all staying inside to keep ourselves safe, because we want everybody around to be safe, and that's what we're trying to do when we're staying home.
I think that's
so
a great
things
advice.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that helps a lot of people because a lot of my personal friends are struggling as well, especially with children who are
Right,
5 and below, because they can't
right,
properly
absolutely,
communicate and they are like the first time
absolutely,
parents. So they are it's like
absolutely,
learning on the job wali baat hai. So they are also learning, and this is
absolutely,
a totally new situation.
absolutely,
So I think that helps a lot. Moving to my last question.
absolutely,
If we get another question, जिन्होंने हमसे क्वेश्चन पूछा था उन्होंने कहा that was helpful जो हमने बाउंड्रीज और घर की बात की थी एक्टिविटी की. So
right.
she's thanking us for that. So
Thank
last
you.
question is the point is that you know a lot of people of my age, younger, uh, anyone is basically worried about two particular age groups. One is
Hmm.
our elders, ठीक है, हमारे parents, because they are more vulnerable due to aging health. Secondly, it's kid. But mostly नजर आ रहा है कि
Hmm.
जी बड़ों को होता है if you are 50 plus, 60 plus, and God forbid you get infected, so there is a higher probability of you losing your life to.
Hamad, you're breaking off a lot. Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, yeah. So point is that there is a more high probability of losing your life if you are like 50 plus or 60 plus
Right.
because your immune system
Absolutely
is
true.
weak. So in that case, as children of any age, of my age, जो हमसे छोटे हैं, so it's become
Hmm.
very difficult. It becomes like a war with your
Hmm.
elders कि आप बाहर ना जाएं, आप
Right.
नमाज पढ़ने ना जाएं, आप घर पे पढ़ लें. आपको पता है एक मजबूरी है. So if I'm allowed to say, it's like handling your children. तो वो भी उनको समझाना पड़ता है, वो
Right. Right.
जिद करते हैं, समझाना पड़ता है, बट देयर इज अ कांस्टेंट फेयर कि गॉड फॉरबिड उनको कुछ हो गया, सो इट माइट बी बिकॉज मैंने ये होने दिया. मुझे कुछ करना
Right.
चाहिए था, मुझे रोकना चाहिए था. दिस इज वन ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस आई
Right.
एक्चुअली गॉट स्पेसिफिकली आस्क्ड फॉर दिस सेशन. सो what's your comment on that? Because as children we think that we have the responsibility to protect our parents, but as a human we have our limitation as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. I think you're very right. We're very, all of us are very concerned for this vulnerable age group, our parents, especially because of their ages, also because they already have a lot of these ongoing blood pressure, diabetes, and other stuff going on with them. So, of course, they're a vulnerable age group, and we're all very concerned for them. But at the same time, I also feel like you said, there is a limitation. There's a very big limitation there because we can only get through them till a certain point, and after that nothing makes sense to them. But I think one thing that I really and I'll take my personal example, and I do that all the time because I think it makes it more personalized for people, and I think maybe it might work for them as well. So one thing that we as me and my siblings, we tried doing, and I think it wasn't me mostly, it was my brother. uh, my dad was also doing the same. He was going for namaz, and we were very concerned for him. We sat him down. My brother talked about how we need to flatten the curve and how it can actually happen.
Hmm.
So, how as an individual we all can play a part in stopping this pandemic. So, stopping this from spreading into our houses. So, most times our parents are not concerned about them getting it. Most parents would be concerned about their kids getting it or
Hmm.
their
Hmm.
grandchildren getting it. So I think framing it according to that particular individual's mindset is very helpful. So let's say a parent is very religious, maybe using religion as a tool to make them
Hmm.
understand about the
Hmm.
situation, using references from the Quran, maybe. So maybe you could say that even in the Quran, you have to stay, and even there is significance of it in the Quran, maybe, or there is hadith about it. There is other resources that are religion based, that talk about quarantine being the most impactful tool that people all over the world have used when situations like these arose. So you have to do this because this is your job as an individual to do it. Flattening the curve and making it more visual for them. I think the news channels create this kind of very fearful situation. They emphasize on numbers so much, on deaths so much, on other stuff so much, that they kind of lose the essence of the thing. So sitting them down and talking about how it is going to affect everything after this is lifted, the lockdown is lifted, after life goes back to normal, how many things will be affected, are talking about ground realities right now. What could happen if this was to come into our household? You will be affected. but that's not only you.
Hmm.
You will be affecting mom, you will be affecting me, you will be affecting my siblings, my children, everybody in our neighborhood will be affected too, because it's not just us in that one vicinity, right? So I think telling them about the broader picture and not just telling them constantly about the action that they're doing, why are you stopping me from going for namaz? Simple.
Yeah.
So not commenting on their action, but commenting on what their action can do later on, how
Right.
that action could impact others around them. I think that would make more sense to our elders, especially.
Okay, I am pretty much done with my question. If there's anything you want to add, or if I missed out anything, or your
No,
generic
absolutely.
ending
I think
message.
I think you
कॉम के नाम है
all of
पैगाम.
us. Yeah, right. So I definitely think we all need to work and do things with our own pace. Uh, don't push yourself too much. Feel whatever you're feeling. Sit down with your emotions. Rationalize your own thought processes. Process your own anxiety before you process your child's anxiety with them, because children pick up your anxiety as well. So and just kind of just stay safe, everybody stay in. Even if you're going out, wear a mask, keep others around you, make sure you're checking in on everybody around you as well, because there will be a lot of people who are not talking about it, but they are going through a lot as well. So keep connected with your loved ones, stay in touch with them, and I think that energy, the positive energy that you hold yourself, you can transfer it to others around you as well during these negative times.
Thank you so much, Sana. I know that
You're welcome, Hammad.
this was our first experiment to go live on Insta and Facebook.
Right,
So
absolutely.
there were
Absolutely,
some
yeah.
of the glitches, sound key, and also apologize
Absolutely.
for that. But we will be
That's
putting
totally
on a
fine.
complete edited show with proper sound on YouTube. So anyone who has missed out, किसी को voice का issue आ रहा था या कोई बाद में part skip हो गया, you can always go back and watch the entire thing on our YouTube channel. I'll put the link in description. But for now, this is it. Thank you once again, Sana, for giving us your time and insight. It was wonderful having you, and keep up the great work.
Thank you so much, Ahmad. Thank you to all the Sukhan and Zaaviyah followers who are watching us right now. Thank you for being a great audience.
Thank you, ji. Okay.
All right, Ahmad. Take care.
Okay. Thank
Hafiz.
you. Dafis.